Hello everyone, my name is Zenitsu and I'm back with another Digimon deck profile video. So today I'm going to be taking a look at BT14, and BT14 offers us some new and powerful tools to be able to build and iterate on some new and existing decks. And today's deck I'm going to be taking a look at is going to be the Yellow Vaccine deck. So as far as what Yellow Vaccine is doing, it's looking to be the premier Yellow deck, being the best at what Yellow wants to do, which is take advantage of utilizing your security in some new and interesting ways to be able to gain lots of good advantage. Yellow Vaccine, having lots of cards fit underneath that vaccine umbrella, gives us a few different directions that we could take the deck to make it for some very versatile builds. And depending on what the meta is asking for, we could easily shift the deck to be able to try to best answer what that question is, on top of having different playstyles for players to utilize based on the tools available to us. The main direction of the deck is going to be based on what mega level Digimon you're going to be using, and you're going to want to best support that mega level Digimon as best as you possibly can with the tools that we have. But no matter what version of the deck you're going to end off on, it's still a deck that's based around the cards that are going to be coming in and out of your security to be able to gain lots of advantage. The biggest weakness of the deck, unfortunately, is the fact that it does have some pretty lacking protection, making it so your Digimon don't necessarily have the best time at being able to stick around against the opponent's removal. But the deck does have lots of things going for it, like some really solid control tools, some pretty okay aggro tools, and really good consistency and really good tempo overall. And I am more of an aggressive player, so I did tech and tune the deck to fit my more aggressive playstyle. So with all that said and done, let's just dive right into the deck profile. Starting off with the Digi-Eggs, I'm going to be running 4 copies of the BT13 Kyaramon, just because, again, I'm a more aggressive player, and I want to utilize that jamming ability to pair up with Security Attack Plus to make my Digimon not only just hit hard, but hit hard and be safe at the same time, and Kyaramon is just the best egg for me accomplishing that goal. But if you wanted to do something a little bit more consistent, then I think that Tokomon, being one of the best card draw engines inside of the Digitama slots, is just a really good alternative or supporting option. Then, when it comes to the level 3s, I'm going to be running 4 copies of Patamon. So this is the brand new BT14 Patamon, and this Patamon is absolutely insane. So at the start of our main phase, we get to search our security stack and be able to digivolve into a yellow vaccine traded Digimon from among them for free. So that's already really good, and then on top of that, we do have to shuffle our security stack, and then we get to place a yellow card with vaccine in its traits from our hands to the bottom of our security stack, so that way we could try to rig our security with various different abilities off of security Digimon, or just to rig it with the Digimon we're going to try digivolving into next, so that way we could utilize our security as a way to be able to digivolve more efficiently than from our hand. Then Patamon also has some nice advantage as a good inheritable ability, allowing us to gain memory whenever cards are being added into our security, so that way it's providing us with some extra tempo. And then I'm going to be running 4 copies of the BT13 Kudamon. So the BT13 Kudamon is going to be the deck's dedicated digging or searching tool, just because it's allowing us to dig for our yellow vaccine traded Digimon and also our yellow Tamers, which is really nice to make sure that we can try to find all the parts and pieces that we need. Then it also has a nice inheritable ability that's not going to come up too often, but still can be handy when it does trigger, at being able to add some extra DP reduction into the deck for even more control. Then when it comes to the last bit of whatever the rookies are going to be, you could kind of tech it to be whatever you feel like you want it to be, but I feel like Floodgates are really good, and the deck does have space to be able to run some, and Yellow's Floodgates actually are going to be really relevant in this coming meta. So I think that running 2 copies of Cutemon is really good, just because stopping the opponent from reducing their Digivolution costs means that it shuts off the training cards from being able to be usable with their delay ability. Then I'm also going to be running 2 copies of Pillowmon, just because we're not playing any Digimon by card effects, but that doesn't mean that the opponent isn't, so this could potentially shut down or slow down what their potential game plan could be based on their matchup and deck. Then when it comes to the level 4s, I'm going to be running 4 copies of the brand new Angemon. So the brand new Angemon is a really good removal tool in of himself, just because he has a nice when attacking ability where we get to delete this Digimon and use one of the 2 effects to either straight up remove a virus traded Digimon and throw it to the bottom of the opponent's security stack, or just give one of their Digimon minus 5000 DP, which is still pretty decent amount of control. Unfortunately, we do lose the Digimon, but he does have an on delete ability to pair up with the fact that he is deleting himself, where if this Digimon gets deleted, we get to throw him to the bottom of our security stack, and then if we have a Tamer in play, we get to hatch an egg into our breeding area, which is really good at being able to refresh ourselves to try to rebuild a stack in our raising area as best as we possibly can. Then he even has a nice on delete inheritable ability for our higher stage Digimon to use, where we get to place a yellow vaccine traded card from our hands to the bottom of our security stack, so that way we could try to keep our security as healthy as we possibly can with whatever we want or need inside of it. Then, as far as some of the other supporting level 4 Digimon, I'm going to be running 4 copies of the BT6 Bulkmon. So BT6 Bulkmon, as long as we have 3 or more cards in our security, then he will have Security Attack Plus, which is really good to pair up with our Kiaramon egg to give us jamming, so that way we could swing as early as level 4 for multiple checks, which is just some really decent levels of aggression. Then I'm going to be also running 1 copy of Geo Greymon. So Geo Greymon is limited to 1, unfortunately, but he's still really good at being able to search out cards in our security and be able to play a Tamer among them for free, which is just nice having alternative ways to be able to set up our Tamer. And if we did play our Tamer, then we get to recover, again, trying to remove cards and add cards back into our security stack. Then he also has a nice inheritable ability, adding even more control into the deck, where if our red or yellow Tamer becomes suspended, then we get to delete one of the opponent's Digimon with 3000 DP or less, which is pretty good because we have ways to DP reduce the opponent's Digimon to put them in range of this deletion if our DP reduction couldn't. And then the last level 4 of the deck is going to be 1 copy of Kazemon, just as that hybrid factor, because we could use our extra Tamers to be able to do different things with, either to try to push the aggression or Digivolve up into a nice new stack. Then when it comes to the level 5s, I'm going to be running 3 copies of Rise Greymon from BT2. So Rise Greymon from BT2 is really good at being able to set up our Tamers because we get to just play one from our hand for free. Unfortunately, we won't get the on-play effects, but sometimes just setting up our Tamer is really important to be able to make sure that we have enough memory to be able to do what we need to. Then he also has a nice inheritable ability for our higher stages to take advantage of on giving our Digimon Security Attack Plus, as long as we have 3 or more Tamers in play to try to push the overall aggression. Then I'm also going to be running 2 copies of Rise Greymon X Antibody. He's doing something very similar to our Rise Greymon, where it's allowing us to be able to play a red or yellow Tamer from our hand for free. We do get the on-play effects this time, and then if we Digivolved on top of our Rise Greymon, we could use him as a really good aggro points to take advantage of Rise Greymon, while also adding some extra control, because then we get to reduce one of the opponent's Digimon's DP by 2000 for each red or yellow Tamer that we have in play, which he at least set up one himself, and then he can take advantage of all of the Tamers on our field by giving himself 1000 DP for each Tamer that we have in play, making him a very aggressive level 5 Digimon. And then the last ultimate of the deck is going to be 3 copies of Magna Angemon Ace. So Magna Angemon Ace, yes, is an ace card, so it does come with a reduced play cost and that hand counter Blasted Digivolution ability to be able to Digivolve on the opponent's turn for free. Then, regardless on how we're going to be utilizing him, his ability is still pretty decent on allowing us to recover 1 card out of our deck into our security, as long as we have 5 or fewer cards in our security. And then for each card that we have in our security, one of the opponent's Digimon is going to get minus 1000 DP for some added control. And then when it comes to the level 6s, I am going to be taking a sword and shield type of approach, where my main is going to be my sword, which is going to be 4 copies of Seraphimon for some extra aggression because he gets to recover us 1, which already is pretty good at being able to make sure our security is nice and healthy, but he gets to gain security attack plus and give minus 7,000 DP when a card is going to be added into our security stack, which we have tons of ways on being able to trigger, so he could punch relatively hard. Then the shield of the deck is going to be the 2 copies of Venusmon, even though she has absolutely 0 synergy in terms of abilities with what the deck is trying to do, or at least how I built it. She's still just a very strong and oppressive Digimon at trying to shut down what the opponent can do, just because she's going to be giving a nice debuff to all of the opponent's Digimon of security attack -1, and then during the opponent's turn, all of their Digimon with any kind of security attack change, whether it's an increase or a decrease, which we set up ourselves, then they can't attack this Digimon and can't activate their when attacking and when digivolving abilities, limiting what they could potentially do with their Digimon. And then for some even more control, I am going to be running 1 level 7, and that's going to be 1 copy of Shine Greymon Ruin Mode. So Shine Greymon Ruin Mode is absolutely fantastic at just turning the opponent's ability to play the game off for a whole turn, just because when we digivolve up into him, or when he gets deleted, which we could potentially trigger multiple times in a single turn, depending on how much memory we have, then until the end of the opponent's turn, all of their Digimon get minus 5,000 DP, so this works similarly to Venusmon, where it is just a blanket fog effect, so whether their Digimon is coming out of raising, being hard played from their hand, or digivolving off of a tamer, it doesn't matter, they're all just going to get this ability, and that could remove quite a lot, especially if we stack it. Then he has a nice end of attack ability to be able to delete himself, so that way he has ways of triggering his on deletion part himself, where we also get to delete one of the opponent's Digimon and recover 1 card from our deck, so that way we have even more recovery, while also being able to remove lots of threats and keep the opponent from playing threats. And then if we have a tamer in play, we also get a Hatchet Digi-Egg into an empty space in our raising area, so that way we could try to refresh and rebuild our stack as quickly as we possibly can. And then when it comes to the Tamers, I'm just going to be running an all TK lineup. So I'm going to be running 4 copies of the BT14 TK. So this is really good at being able to add the top card of our security stack into our hand, and to be able to place a yellow vaccine traded card from our hand to the bottom of our security stack to try to rig it for some of the abilities that care about pulling cards out of our security. Then when a card is added into our security as a secondary ability, we get to suspend this Tamer to gain a memory for some easy extra memory generation. And then the other TK of the deck is going to be 3 copies of the BT1 TK. So this is just the best generic yellow memory fixing tamer that we have to play around with, while also being a TK by name, which is kind of important. So that way we could try to make our plays as consistent as we possibly can. And the fact that he also adds extra consistency to the deck with his on-play ability to be able to look at our security, add a card from our security into our hand, and if it's yellow, also recover 1, just does everything the deck wants and needs out of our tamer. And then when it comes to the options, I'm just opting not so much for removal, but I'm just using our options just to try to advance our overall game state. So I'm going to be running 3 copies of Emissary of Hope as basically the hidden potential for yellow. So we get to search our security stack, have one of our Digimon digivolve into a level 6 or lower yellow vaccine traded Digimon from among them for free, which is really good at being able to digivolve as efficiently as we possibly can. Then we also get to shuffle our security stack, and if we have a TK in play, then we also get to recover 1, replacing the card that we just used to digivolve with. Then it also comes with a nice security ability to be able to play a Patamon from our hand or trash for free, and add this card into our hand to be able to set up and use right away. Then I'm also going to be running 3 copies of Physical Training as the other option to try to help us with our overall consistency, looking at the top 2 for any yellow card and add it into our hand, and then the rest go to the bottom, setting itself up with its secondary main ability of Delay to reduce the next Digivolution by 2, so that way we could try to digivolve again as cleanly and cheaply as we possibly can. And that's kind of it for my interpretation of the deck. I know there's a whole bunch of various other tech and tools that you could think about utilizing and builds you could try to lean towards, depending on all what you have access to, what you want to gain out of the deck, and to the meta that you're expecting to play against. There's just a ton that Yellow Vaccines as a whole can do with lots of different supporting tools. And the cool thing is this deck isn't going to be going away because we do have some potential future upgrades in EX5 with the Mitamamon line, and we also have in BT15 the Angelomon line to think about as well for even further customization. So that's all I really have for this video. As always, feel free to tell me your thoughts down in the comments below, and down in the description below are a couple of different ways you could support me and the channel. So I do have a TCG Player affiliate link, so when you use that link to buy cards off of TCG Player, then some of that money will go to supporting me and the channel. I also do make and sell playmats over on Overcard Gamers on Facebook, so when you buy a playmat with my design, then some of that money will also go to help supporting me and the channel. And on top of all of that, I do have a Twitch account over on twitch.tv/Zenitsu, so giving me a follow and a subscription also helps support me there, and I do play Digimon on top of various other games on that platform as well. So thank you everyone for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you in the next video.